When I first started out as a product designer, I honestly thought my main job was to just make things look pretty. But it didn't take long for me to realize that's just a tiny piece of the puzzle. A while back, I came across a book that really made this click for me. And today, I want to share how digging into the principles of human psychology completely changed my career. It took me from designing based on what I liked to designing based on how people's minds actually work. So let's talk about what I call the subjectivity trap. Early in my career, I absolutely dreaded design reviews. I mean, they were my least favorite meetings, period. It felt less like a constructive discussion and more like a battlefield of opinions. I'd present my work and get feedback like, I'm just not feeling it. Or the classic, can you make it pop more? We were all stuck in this trap, right? Where every decision was based on someone's personal taste, not on any solid, objective reason. And this one here, oh man, this was the absolute worst. I'm not sure. It just doesn't feel right. Let's see more options. This kind of feedback gives you nothing. Absolutely zero direction. It just sends you right back to square one, cranking out version after version, just hoping you stumble upon something that magically feels right to them. It's exhausting, it's inefficient, and honestly, it's just super frustrating. I really felt like I was just designing in the dark. My job didn't feel like a strategic craft anymore. It was more like a guessing game, just trying to figure out what stakeholders wanted. I knew deep down there had to be a way to ground my design decisions in something solid, something more objective than just what someone liked or didn't like. I needed a real foundation. And that's when it happened. That's when I had my big aha moment. I started really digging into cognitive psychology and how it applies to user experience. And just boom, the light bulb went on. I realized the key wasn't about getting better at defending my design choices. It was about truly understanding the user's mind, the why behind what people do. That was the solid foundation I'd been looking for all along. And my entire perspective just shifted. I stopped seeing myself as an artist and started seeing myself as an advocate for the user's brain. All of a sudden, good design wasn't some abstract art form anymore. It was a problem that could actually be solved. It was all about how people perceive things, how they process information, and how they make decisions. And this gets to a core truth about us. Human behavior isn't random. Not at all. Our brains are literally hardwired to find patterns and take mental shortcuts. It's how we save energy. The best digital products don't try to fight this instinct. They work in perfect harmony with it. This led me to my first really big insight. Look, the best way to create an experience that feels intuitive is to lean into what people already know. Instead of trying to force them to learn my brilliant, quote-unquote, innovative new system, I realized I should just make things feel familiar. Familiarity is, hands down, the ultimate shortcut to making something easy to use. And this brings us to probably the single most important concept I learned, the mental model. Think of it like this. Every time you use an app, you're building a little instruction manual in your head. So when you land on a new shopping website, you already know to look for the shopping cart in the top right corner, right? That's your mental model at work. Our job as designers is to align our designs with that manual that's already in their heads, not force them to write a whole new one from scratch. And this right here, this is the heart of a huge conflict in the design world. Our ego often wants us to be creative, to build something new and groundbreaking. But the user, they just want to find the search bar. When our desire for originality clashes with their need for things to be predictable, the user always loses. And when the user loses, well, the product fails. Simple as that. This was a pretty humbling realization for me. My product doesn't exist in a bubble. Users spend most of their time online on sites like Google, Amazon, and Instagram. That's where their expectations are being set. So my job isn't to reinvent the wheel. It's to use those patterns they already know to make my product's unique features as easy to find and use as possible. And this is where it all becomes very real. These are the kinds of mistakes I see designers make all the time. Hiding a shopping cart inside a hamburger menu, you just broke a really powerful mental model. Inventing a new, special way to swipe through photos, now you're forcing users to stop and learn something, adding friction. Sticking to conventions isn't about being boring, it's about being effective. All right, on to the second big insight, and this one is a bit counterintuitive. My old instinct as a designer was always to give users more features, more choices, more power. But what psychology actually shows us is that giving people too many options often leads to what's called analysis paralysis. It causes anxiety, not empowerment. I mean, these two images capture the idea perfectly. On the left, you've got an interface that's just an explosion of choices. It feels chaotic, overwhelming. You don't even know where to start looking. But the one on the right, it's focused. It gives you a clear, simple path forward. And that clarity, that's exactly what we should be aiming for. And this isn't just a theory, get this. Netflix found that on average, their users would spend a staggering 18 minutes just trying to decide what to watch. 18 minutes. That is a textbook example of choice paralysis. When you're faced with thousands and thousands of options, sometimes the easiest decision is just to give up and make no decision at all. So, what's the solution? Well, we have to simplify and we have to guide. We can take a really complex task and break it down into smaller, bite-sized steps. We can group similar items together to clean up the clutter. We can use design to highlight a recommended option. Our role really becomes more like an editor, just ruthlessly cutting out anything that isn't absolutely essential for helping the user get to their goal. This really sums up the whole shift in how I think about my job. I used to see myself as a provider of options. Now I see myself as a creator of clarity. My value isn't in showing users every single thing they could possibly do, but in guiding them confidently toward the one thing they should do next. So when you put these two big ideas together, respecting mental models and avoiding choice overload, you land on this really powerful design philosophy, designing with empathy. It all boils down to respecting the fact that the user's attention and mental energy are finite resources. We can actually frame this with a really useful concept called cognitive cost. Every single time a user has to stop, think, figure something out, or weigh too many options, they're spending from this limited budget of mental energy. So our goal, as designers, should be to make using our products as cognitively cheap as we possibly can. And the payoff for doing this is huge. As you can see here, when you lower that cognitive cost, user frustration just plummets. And at the same time, the chances of them actually completing their task and being happy about it just shoot way up. This isn't just about making things nice, this is good for business. So, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Our job is to bend technology to fit people, not the other way around. We have to stop forcing users to adapt to our designs and start adapting our designs to the way their brains already work. So I'll just leave you with this final question to ask yourself the next time you're working on a project. Is this design serving the user, or is it serving my ego? Is that clever new interaction pattern actually helping someone, or is it just different for the sake of being different? The moment we start answering that question honestly, that's when we start designing for all the right reasons.